What about my sweat equity?
Howdy, Johnny!
My sweat equity. My sweat equity. What about my sweat equity?
The girthiest.
What?
Girthiest? The girthiest.
Start over.
Start over. No, we keep that mulligan
We don't
in.
ever start over, sir.
we don't actually.
No.
I don't think we've
That's
only
not-
done it once.
It's
It
a
was like,
perfect
it was a video problem.
segue to our topic today.
Yeah, that
Your
part-
fuck up.
That voice you're hearing is not. If you're watching on video, it's not Ray Charles. It's not Stevie Wonder. It's Eric Register.
Mm-hmm.
You doing switching, doing soundboard, and he's in silly time mood.
Yeah.
You're being a silly goose now.
You know, it's a Sunday afternoon. Banking these episodes. Let's have a good time with it, right?
Yeah, we got to record a little bit ahead. I'm going out of town, going to LA.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What you going
That
for?
always sounds cooler than what the actual trip is.
Yeah, you're not going for some big audition.
I'm going for Brendan T. Gleeson's 40th birthday. It should really...
But also this one.
Yeah.
You
The
old
noise-
as shit now.
The noise should just be an old man getting off the couch. Like just struggling. Perfect.
I'm feeling really good with these sound effects today, baby.
You're on it. You are on it. Hashtag girthy RI. Hashtag 69 B2B. Reciprocate that love for your friends, brands, or business or hustle. Give a 5-star review to us on iTunes, and we'll duplicate. We'll duplicate that love back to you. Yeah. That's
Have you checked it?
I have.
You have?
No one's taking the
No
correction.
one has done it. And if anybody does, it'll probably be on accident. It had nothing to do with that.
That's okay. That's
It's okay.
Look, there is something that is a big disconnect between going from like I'm listening to a podcast to a call to action to go do it, right?
Right.
That's why I'm trying to do it every episode, get it in people's head. It takes a while.
Yeah.
I mean, frequency of a message in advertising or promoting or whatever we're doing, right?
Yeah, it's usually frequency and not timing.
So podcast advertising, just look at like Squarespace, right? They've been an advertiser in podcasting like for 8 years.
From the beginning.
Right. And they got a first mover market out of that. They got people that were listening to podcasts 8-10 years ago. They're kind of on the vanguard of what's going on.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to say that's my initial interest in Squarespace came from a podcast ad, I want to say.
I'm pretty sure I got curious when I heard it for the 400th time as an ad, and I was like, let's check this out. Instead of trying to make a shitty WordPress site.
It's not your job to make excuses.
Long one.
Sorry. Meant to do that.
So, we figured this is as good a time as any. We've been giving our we've been doing the rental on this studio. I can't technically call it a rental. Let's call it production
not a rental.
services.
We've been providing a service.
Well, there's a lot more people that want to do
educating
podcasts. There's a lot more people that want to do e-learning, kind of passive income, ClickFunnels stuff, education stuff, whatever it is, serialized podcasts. So we've had clients that, and more we're getting asked about it. So as more of a rubric, we thought for that creative.
What is it?
A rubric?
Rubrik's Cube?
Just like our last episode, just kind of here's a bunch of rules to live by kind of thing.
Ah.
A rubric is like keeps you within a certain amount of constraints. We have that for logo design, right? Don't be confusing. Try to be original. Try to be minimalistic. Those kind of things.
Sorry, I'm looking for your list that you were gonna do.
I've got it up here. And
I like to follow along.
Oh, I've got it.
Rule number 1: follow along.
I need to pull that one up probably.
Yeah, the one you're going to talk about. That's what I'm saying.
I reordered it in Slack, baby. Don't worry about it.
It's really.
I'll pop it up right here. I'm a professional. Just give me the number. Give me number 1.
No, I don't have it yet.
Just get me started.
See, I should be following along. What was it under? What
just give me a little taste.
Channel
I'll
was
take
it
it
in?
from there.
You were not using channels correctly, apparently. You
I
don't
was.
even know.
I was using channels correctly. I created a channel for this baby.
Oh, that's the problem.
Related content, because this won't be on Sweat Equity Pod. But it is related to podcasting.
Number 1 was not having fun. The audience, listeners and viewers, won't either.
Bam. We know about that. If
I'm
sometimes
miserable.
we get yeah, but if I'm enjoying how miserable you are, then that's great. He's mouthing it.
Don't mind me.
Why are you
little something
mouthing?
special. A
Why are you
little something
mouthing?
special for the viewers at home. You audio suckers don't get to know what the joke was.
This is Dad's day out for you.
Woo! I don't have kids for 3 days, baby. Lots of awesome dad jokes coming your way.
A lot of sunglasses inside.
Yeah, a lot of naps.
Claiming the prescription. A lot of orthopedic talk.
Yeah. You're the one talking about my boots, not me. And was like, hey, check out these boots.
They're dad boots because they're ugly.
I don't care.
You talk.
They're super comfy.
you
They're North Face. They got me through Peru and my pending divorce.
I don't have the soundboard.
I'm looking. Oh, man, I pulled up Slack. Sorry.
I was gonna.
Hold on, let's do it again. Peru and my pending divorce. I'm just joking. I'm not getting divorced.
No. So if we're not having fun, y'all aren't having fun, and look, you can get so tightly wound. We've had guests on here that like freak out, like they're on Rogan or somewhere.
It's hard.
Don't worry
It's like
about it.
painful for us just because it's like we do forget that it's not normal to jump on a mic and like talk, with a louder voice than you normally do, and maybe a little more pronounced and stuff.
Well, that's part of it, but at the same time, it's like I have to do this when I go do stand up. I have to remember. I tell myself, like, kind of in my head sometimes, like, "Hey, remember to laugh. People are here for a good time." Or like smile, like you're at least pretending to have a good time.
Yeah, don't be
Because
very marbles.
We've got resting bitch faces, respectively,
Yeah.
and if it looks like I'm thinking about the next joke, my default is resting bitch face on stage or here or whatever we're doing. If I have an idea I'm trying to bring to this podcast, and I'm like so in tune with it that I don't want to, derail from that topic.
Mm-hmm.
It bleeds through because it's not very fun. It's just like I'm trying to get through this thing.
It defeats the whole purpose
So
of
that's
the
why
idea.
I try to keep this in outline.
Being funny.
Keep things in outline form. That helps too.
Yeah.
If you're podcasting,
Yeah,
if you're doing any kind of content like this.
Yeah, those ones that just sound like they're like take 4 of what they're trying to say. It's like,
yeah,
you're the whole idea. I was talking to my wife about this. We were listening. They need a new name for what like these gimbal media podcasts are, where they're like talking in the way that it's obviously super edited, and they definitely take more than one try at things, and it's super researched. Not that there's no place for it, but it should have some other name. Like podcasts should be reserved for the conversational shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll get there. It's still a new medium, probably. Like we're not.
Write in with your ideas for what that bullshit should be called.
I mean, it's like NPR style. Is
Right.
How I've always thought about it. It's like it's kind of ASMR a little bit. That shit where people like, I'm talking like this.
Oh, they like the
I'm
tone.
gonna give you
Yeah.
a boner because
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I thought you had another sound effect.
No.
So, all right. Yeah, I agree. We should figure out how to have like real talk categories for podcasts.
Yeah.
But iTunes dictates it. 60% of listeners use iTunes or Apple Podcasts as their way to get access to podcasts.
Yeah. I ever try and hook somebody who's got like a non-iPhone? You're like,
I don't
show me how to get your your podcast. It's like,
You talk to a Samsung person?
you're like,
Ugh.
yeah.
Garbage people.
Like, never mind.
Yeah,
I don't want you to listen.
They're going to tell me about how their phone's better than mine. I'm like, I get it. You got a small penis. Let's move on.
Right. Look how big your screen is.
Number 2, audio first, video second. We are emphasizing a lot on video because we think that's the trend that it inevitably will have to be their podcast, but it adds an extra element of what we're already doing anyway.
And ironically, I've been making more faces at the camera today than ever.
We're learning a
and
lot.
I didn't scroll down to number 2.
we're learning a lot
Inaudible jokes.
on how to do this. Let's call it cost efficient production scale. So we get a lot out of that. But I'm trying to do this from like reminding clients that are doing a podcast or anybody that wants to do their own podcast. Because I just wanted to be able to send this link in the future and just go, I'm not running this down with you. But, most people still listen to audio first. I think I've heard Rogan stats throughout the years. It's like probably 10-1, something like that.
Yeah, it's not to the point to where, like, I don't ever think, when I remember, like, oh, I can watch Rogan on YouTube on my TV, I'm like, oh, I'll do that every once, but I literally forget. You sit in front of the TV and you're like, okay, Netflix, whatever, go right to it. You don't even think about it.
I do. I put it on YouTube and just like I'll do it while I'm working. It's good background.
The point being
Yeah.
the trend amongst people is that, it's an audio thing.
Well, it's
and that's where they're going to hear it first.
Yeah, exactly. It's to point number 3, it's active listening, passive activity. So you always have to remind yourself that people that are listening, they're jogging, they're driving, they're about to go to sleep, they're doing laundry, they're doing
dishes,
menial tasks,
sweeping.
Just everyday stuff to kind of get through that. And so you always have to remember, like, the active listening, I make sure to put it in there too, because it's not radio.
Yeah.
Radio has this weird relationship with the audience that it is kind of flippant. It is kind of in there. As an audience member, they're usually seeking this out.
Right. Radio's always there.
Radio's terrestrial.
The radio's out there even though we're not listening to it.
Right. If you put it on, it's kind of background noise.
Right.
Back in the day, it had a lot of power because it was the only thing you could you'd flip around just to find something.
Yeah.
Right? Now it's an audience that seeks out information a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you're seeing a lot of celebrity podcasts come in the fray.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll get marketed.
Those are hit or
too.
miss, really.
It's starting to become big business now.
Yeah.
They're starting to see, I think Spotify paid whatever for a big podcast network or Gimlet or something like that.
Oh, yeah. It might have been Gimlet, actually.
Yeah. And so, but they're letting Gimlet, it seems like, run the creative how they used to. But
thank God.
You're seeing big money into it. It all goes back to advertising, really.
Yes.
Because you can track that when radio can't. But anyway, active listening, passive activity, that's huge to remind yourself of, because sometimes it's worth reiterating, resetting the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
As they are better listeners because you have earbuds in typically.
Right.
Unless you're a psycho and listen with your wife in the car back from on a road
It was
trip.
educational.
I've never been able to do that. I tried.
It was about Intuit.
No, that's
Oh, it's a struggle, man.
no, that's good that you all did it.
The Savior
that's a huge
on the way back was
relationship milestone. I think.
We had both watched the Bob Lazar Netflix documentary.
I want to watch that.
And I was like, oh, he was on Rogan. 2.5 hours. That one was perfect because she watched it with me.
Yeah.
It was really good.
But
I believe in UFOs now.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you got to go and cut. I'm more of the kind of like other galaxy kind of. I don't know if they've hit here, but I want to hear that.
Oh, I don't know the thing. Oh, you didn't listen to the podcast?
I listened to the podcast. I haven't seen the documentary yet.
No, the one before we go on a super UFO tangent. Just one thing. They said that one of them was found in an archaeological dig. I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Okay.
Think about it.
No, they brought it up in the podcast.
Okay, I just thought that was a super creepy part.
Is it?
Yeah, just because think about how old that shit is. That's just weird to me that it didn't happen in 1950. That it might have happened 10,000 years ago.
I shouldn't be hating. I'm not doing good improv.
Whatever.
But it is like
so.
No, who cares?
Newsflash, asshole!
Well, yeah, it is interesting. After I'm still in this kind of skeptic-y area of like what people are bringing to the table with this. The Lazar thing seems interesting. What I caught out of that is the consistency of his story over 30 years.
Right.
So that means he's not a liar. The only other thing that if that didn't happen is he has some sociopathic kind of thing. Right.
There's no I'll just say.
But he's not fabricating it.
Yeah, I'll just say I absolutely believe he's telling the truth. Whatever it is.
Do we want to believe?
Sure.
Right? Like
You want to believe, but also like
I always want to believe it happened, and that will always push me over into like it definitely happened, bro. Into bro talk.
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
But
Bro.
you know, the
There's a
guy
lot of
really
bro tones.
he's had that's a hard thing to do for 2.5 hours. You know, getting peppered with questions. You know, and keep it if it was like a made up thing. You know,
We're gonna get on tangent highway, but
yeah.
this is why my parents and I were talking about the next presidential kind of election.
God.
And I was like, I don't know much. I like Tulsi Gabbard because I heard her on Rogan for 3 hours, and that's really hard. I don't know any politician that does that, and she
Andrew Yang did it too.
Yeah. He should be her vice president, I think.
Sure.
I don't think that universal income thing is a legit idea.
Okay.
No one's talking about the macroeconomics of that. Your dollar,
including me.
That $1,000 you give to everybody, guess what happens to the dollar? Not as good.
Right.
It's not near. You're fucking. Think of that as arcade tokens or something like that. If that's easier to think about.
I don't want to get into a universal basic income discussion.
Well,
I want to keep it.
Okay.
Talk about no, but
we'll edit
not
that out.
yes
post.
and.
Okay. Number 4. This is an Oprah rule that I can't remember the exact quote, but Oprah talks about share content to your audience that's worth sharing. Like.
Yes.
Like you're discovering stuff. That's what I always try to think about this podcast is like, ooh, I found out about this app or I found out about this, like a little nugget.
Yeah, we want to give you something.
This helped me do this.
Right, just take something.
Sometimes it's like a habit thing. Sometimes it's like just a life hack. Sometimes it's part of your tech stack, all that stuff. So share, like find those little nuggets and write them down kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because what you're telling people at a barbecue, like, ooh, did you know about this thing?
Yeah, it's just go into it with like you said the loose outline, but have some points to hit.
Go look on those subreddits. Did you know or today I learned, which is TIL. That took me a while to. I was like, what does that stand for? I don't know how I got to it, and I was like, this is interesting.
There's a good nugget. Go to the Reddit glossary before you start browsing Reddit because it'll save you a lot of time.
That too.
What the hell's TLDR? Too long, didn't read.
That's old. That's before Reddit, I think.
Still.
Yeah. Come on, Eric.
Our improv game's off today.
That's all right. Number 5, always kind of try to be present, be in the moment.
You just got distracted.
I did. Well,
you just got so distracted.
Our producer from the last podcast came back in the studio.
What was I gonna say?
I was following my own rule, meta wise. Yeah, real in there. Be in the moment, but also remind yourself that of the audience too.
Oh, he's not here to help. He's here. Okay. Thanks for nothing. John
Paul
Labadie.
Mm-hmm.
Too busy. Has to go eat and not produce a show.
He didn't even bring food back.
I know. What a dick.
He just lied to us.
All right. Way to be in the moment.
We're in the moment. That happened in the moment. However, you just did a good move. You audio-wise told everybody what's going on by weaving in his name.
Thank you.
Right? Because I was about to do it if you didn't. Because we know we're thinking about the listeners, right? So we're in the audience, but we're in this conversation kind of simultaneously.
Yes.
It's like, don't think of it.
It's a meshing of universes.
We're not on a stage because I don't like that scenario visually. Like people listen to you like that. It's kind of creepy.
No, yeah. If anything, they'd be on the stage. They're the real heroes.
Yeah. You just said that like a bad comedian going, "Hey, give it up for the troops."
Is that right? Yeah. Let's give a big round of applause for you guys.
That counts as an applause break for me. So be in the moment. What's going on is going on. Don't worry about being so professional, but try to listen to the conversation first. But always aware that there's people listening.
Yes.
Like a barbecue where you're talking with someone and there's like kind of someone onto the side that you don't want to talk to.
Right.
Or a cocktail party. You know those guys?
Yeah.
That you're like, he's usually a little bit taller than the people in the discussion. because they can kind of creep over a little bit. Like
They're just kind of in a multitude of discussions.
They're like that
like
asshole.
a head turn makes them in a different discussion.
They're like that asshole Wilson on Home Improvement, fucking listening to everything.
Creeping over.
Yeah, I want your advice because you're a fucking creep and eavesdrop all the time.
Apparently you know everything about my life.
You wear a goddamn
Wilson.
fishing hat all day?
Right.
All night?
Yeah, what's he hiding under there?
And you're a fucking loser. You don't go anywhere.
And he really kind of sucks at hiding his face, too, if we're being
Right.
honest. They showed it like 5 times. They
Right.
didn't even care.
No, they didn't.
There's one that they go over to Wilson's house and he's walking around and it's like, thought they were being slick. Just saw
that was
his
like
whole face.
TGIF, like promotion out the ass. Like, we're going to show Wilson's face.
Did they? Maybe. They
on
might
Home
have.
Improvement.
Seems like they would have.
My mom would always be like, I know what he looks like because he's in my soap opera. I was like,
Thanks for ruining, what was it, Home Improvement?
But I was like, when you hear that once, you're like, cool, gotta go.
Yeah.
See you, Mom. I gotta pop some zits. Let's see. Be consistent. Number 6. This is more about publishing. This is more about episodes coming out.
Yes.
Your sports or news kind of podcast, you're not going to be first. Just know that. You're not going to be the big media probably, but you should be kind of timely. I used to do a college football podcast we're going to resurrect this upcoming season called The Triple Option. It was like, if we don't do it Sunday or Monday,
right.
It's
You got to
already
do
the
Sunday
new cycle,
morning.
right? It's the
even
new
Saturday night.
We couldn't do it Saturday night because Pac-10, Pac-12 games go deep into the night. We tried. It's tough. So it was like we did 5 a.m. Sunday morning sometimes.
Yeah, dude, that's the hardest one.
So that one's tough because 5 a.m. didn't work because I didn't have like opinions on stuff, even though I write notes throughout the day like a dork.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna go like Sunday night and just go, hey, we're not gonna break news anyway. We don't want to be that anyway. But we want to have good analysis, like thought through kind of shit.
Yeah, maybe a little more retrospective.
Yeah.
Than like, hey, did you see this happen? This, and this.
Right. And then we want to do it for us for just this scenario, but you can do it to anything. Like if you're doing news podcasts or political, you kind of know there's a little bit of ebb and flow to that, you know? Like stuff's not going to usually break Friday night because it's all planned by big corporate media.
Yeah. If you did a news podcast, you'd really have to. I mean,
if you do
to make it realistic, you do 10-minute blips sort of thing,
right? If you
that's
live
doable.
stream or figure out how to do as close to real time as when you record it. But the other part is if you're serialized, you probably want to get all those in the bank before you kick them out, so they all sound the same,
right?
Everything it has the through line, and then for us, like for this. We can bank episodes. We don't want to get too far ahead in banking because we will bring up that it brought up it's Sunday and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like trying to find that consistency, but you've been very good about publishing it every Monday and Thursday.
Yes.
Because once you're into a podcast, that's your itch.
Yeah, you got to be there. It's so easy. I
want
mean,
your mom's house every Tuesday night.
I find myself telling people we're going to rent the studio just like, listen, it's so easy to drop a podcast. Like it's so easy to just forget,
right?
And they get moved down the little tier there, and it's just before you know it, it stops downloading it for you, and it's gone.
In a weird way, you're replacing a lot of people's real conversation, right? In real life,
yes.
So like you're filling a void of that, and when it's not there, like I don't like
that's deep.
Yeah. You didn't think about that
just
ever?
Got real.
It's because it's in your earbuds. It's intimate. It's a different relationship. We think we know the people we listen to consistently, right?
Yeah.
Like if Rogan was in here or Pete Holmes or something like that,
yeah,
we'd know a lot to talk to them about.
How's your dog?
And they'd be like creeped out how much we knew about them.
Yeah, that's true. And we do overshare.
Yeah.
And
it's gonna happen. It's happened to us for sure. Like people that listen consistently that are friends of mine or acquaintances or whatever, they'll bring up something. I'm like, ugh.
Maybe I helped somebody through a vasectomy.
No, it's fine. No,
or a hemorrhoid.
Overall, I'm tickled pink. They're listening to the podcast. So, anyway,
of course.
Number 7, be 10 to 20% more of yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of people get real lazy.
You can't be cool guy.
No.
You really just got to throw it out there.
I say that about stand-up. If anybody tries to do stand-up, just don't stay in the pocket. Try to, when you're on a little bit if you're trying to do it.
I think that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Be 10 to 20% more of yourself.
Yeah. What
volume-wise,
even
physically, that much more demonstrative. That's good.
Yeah, you and I are never life of the party,
Right.
We're never gonna go into a party and be like, oh shit,
Hey,
hammer
what's
time!
your joke?
Hammer time!
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna yell shit. We're gonna fucking spray champagne bottles everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort.
When I get to dancing.
But all right, we never went to nightclubs or any of that stuff.
Right.
In college
Yes.
when we're trying to, before you're married,
Yeah.
25 years ago.
Right.
How long have you been married?
It's going to be 10 years in November,
Yuck. But I'm just jelly. That's all. No, I'm saying we want to be able to talk to people because we're better
Right.
conversationalists.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
So that thing of
We just enjoy that more, too.
Yeah, the best is probably if you are good at dinner parties, if you're good at like brunch or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can hold court with a table like 6 to 8 kind of thing.
Right.
Then you stay in that area.
Allow for people to talk. No, yeah, like you said, stay in your lane.
Steamroll 'em.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shut up.
Steamroll 'em to get to your joke.
What's a mimosa?
Bottomless mimosa? I'm not wearing any pants, Daffy Duck style. All right. This one I said on the last podcast about how to not be a zero. Put your goddamn phone on airplane mode.
Yeah. That's a big one.
That was pretty straightforward.
Kind of applies to a lot of things, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really having this kind of thing where I'm really trying to articulate and kind of create my own boundaries on is this good? I'm trying to write a bit about I got two separate thoughts. One, this is really bad for us. We all kind of know that, right?
What?
The phone.
Oh, okay.
But I want to do a bit that's almost anti that. Like, hey, I can't believe we're not on this like more than we already are.
Right.
This thing's magical.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry that I have the knowledge of the universe in my hand and I like to look at it.
I'm sorry this thing's smarter than a whole country.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago.
Right.
So I was trying to write a bit like I'm surprised we aren't all in our phone at all times.
Yeah.
With a charger out of our ass, a portable charger or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be
it's
like
a premise.
that. But also turn your phones off if you're podcasting.
But if you're podcasting, it's amateur. It's real amateur hour. If you've got a bunch of things dinging. And shit in the
your
background.
timer going off. Perfect timer impression.
This is another one I piggybacked from the last episode too. Be genuinely curious and or passionate about whatever you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're interviewing people. Interview with what does that mean? What's that about? How'd you get into this?
Yeah. Think of it as curiosity and not stupidity.
No, ask the baser questions.
Right.
That's why it's easy to interview anybody that is entrepreneurial because they've got a story to tell. They've been wanting to tell it, and you can just go, "Well, how'd you get into this?" and let it rip. Now you got to kind of keep them in the boundaries,
right?
Nautical beacons, but yeah.
Just if somebody's an expert on something, I like to play a stupid guy character where I pretend like I don't know what they're talking about, so that the listeners can also understand if they're as stupid as my stupid guy character.
Yeah. Well, rule 9A was don't have a character, but yeah.
I didn't scroll down that
far. No, but that's when you
play by my own rules.
When you came on co-hosting, right after been doing it a little bit solo, and I'd be talking about a lot of like random shit that you're like, oh. I was like, but that's good because a lot of people don't know about that. So you're asking the question and it's sometimes it's fun to kind of figure out how to define it on air.
Yeah, if there's a dissolution of ego that needs to happen, that can really open up.
And I think
your potential.
You're passionate and curious about hearing people's stories and how to tell a story visually or audio wise. I'm passionate about talking about entrepreneurship, and I always find everybody's story kind of fascinating in a nerdy way. No matter what, they could tell me it's like I opened a coffee shop because my husband, he worked corporate and I was bored. We don't have kids, and we.
Well, I think you can do a good job of just mentally going through what that must have been like, and all the stuff that it's associated with, and then you can see how it's like, okay, that's kind of an interesting journey.
You're getting it now, right? You're
Right.
really on the other side of that entrepreneurial coin where you own a dental practice with your wife, and it's like, no matter how much I could tell you to,
Right.
there's no amount of planning you can do for a bunch of shit that comes up.
Right.
There's too many variables,
Mhm.
right? No, you could be the best Leslie, no plan, organized. Doesn't matter.
Right. And that, just talking about that in general that's going to help
Right.
somebody.
Where are we at?
We're getting there.
All right.
30.
Number 10, don't bring up the time. No, number 10 is don't eat on the mics. Pretty fucking simple.
Yeah.
You're gross.
People hate that.
It's fucking gross.
What, like, rule 11, plan your time better. Eat before. I say eat after. You don't want to eat before and have, like, all kinds of weird shit unexpected going on.
If you think of it as a performance, sure.
Yeah. But really.
Yeah, if I do stand-up and I'm kind of really taking it seriously as far as I'll make sure to eat. You got 8 o'clock show. Make sure to eat like a bigger dinner at 5.
Oh, really? You eat before? I guess you're doing it late.
Yeah, your schedule's all wacky.
Yeah, you got to eat before.
You'll eat between shows maybe, but you want to have something light.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I'm a little bit, I don't know, more spry when I don't have a bunch of food in me. But
no, it's true.
That's
There's
me.
a lot to that. Like,
I guess just know your body.
yeah, know yourself too.
Just know yourself.
Know your
and
energy.
know what the universe means.
If you're like I'm jittery when I have coffee in the like after 11 a.m.
Maybe,
Those
yeah.
people that I don't know how that exists.
Right.
I won't go to sleep if I have a coffee after like 10:30 a.m. You're like, I could pound a fucking one of those
I could
canteens of
snort
Monster.
Crushed up caffeine pills right now until
Right.
I'm bleeding from the eyeballs and still be.
Here's something we need to follow a little bit more. Maybe is find a format, and I only say that for point number 11, in the sense of like, I want some stock questions that we should probably ask every interview, and one of them is just, what advice would you give to yourself? 10 years ago or whatever, a younger version before you started whatever venture. I think that's a good.
What happens when we die?
Yeah, I like Pete Holmes's style of doing that. On You Made It Weird.
Yeah.
What do you
I'm
think?
definitely down to ask that
Dead
to every
over?
guest.
Yeah. Did you
That'll
wanna ask
throw
that?
for a
You
loop.
want to ask that one?
Yeah. That'd be good.
I
I do want to know what people think.
okay. We can do, look if I
Or
want to
just
find
for
a
that look in their eye.
I want to find a format where we can do the long form interview where we go ham. We go 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
This style feels like PTI. Like I feel like I'm always on the clock.
Boom. Next topic.
We're trying to keep it to 33 to now about 45 or whatever, but I feel like I'm rushing through a lot of shit and have
Yeah.
to prep a little bit like this pointed list. But
Hey, I got to say, buddy, that's 3 in a row. You got your little papers printed out,
I know.
scratching them off as you go.
It's called a winning streak.
Yeah.
Where's that fucking clip?
That's all you guys do
I
good!
don't have it, but that's pretty close.
It's either a leg or a spiritual thing! Or a psychological thing! Or a heart attack!
I do it better than he does in real life because it's slower.
Oh, you
I
do
zip
it?
through it.
All right, last one. And I messed this up last podcast. The mic in front of you, talk into it.
Yes.
Some of these are not like big overall. Some
Right.
of these are just like, hey, there's a mic. Don't go like, I'm going to talk to my left. I'm going to talk to my right.
Yeah, I think the idea that it's a conversation can lead people to be more conversational, which causes you to, oh, yes, I'll acknowledge you over here. But then
Well, I mean,
it's like you got it. The mic is number one.
look at our setup. Our setup right now, I've been bitching about for a while, just because we're sitting at like Fox Sports NFL Sunday, like a panel kind of thing where we're cheating a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a play, you have to kind of open up your stance to kind of.
I don't know. I like it.
I don't like
Because
it.
if it's a straight line,
No, I'm not saying that's
you'll be
that's
putting
it
your
either.
legs over into my
No.
space all the time.
That's not it either. I'm just saying we can improve upon that, and I'm just saying it's weird that we're having a conversation at 45-degree angles.
That is a little, yes, it's weird.
So
That half the time I'm talking outside of my mouth like this with this
Right,
weird
right.
posture. Yeah, I guess you're very right.
that's why
on
I was
that.
like, maybe we mess with the camera angles, maybe we mess with some other stuff, but I think getting a new table in here will help with that. Because really, we're limiting ourselves to this could fit 8, in a real meeting, but we have stuff all around it.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't work.
And the mic arms are, stressing me out because these shock mounts.
I know.
But I'm saying overall, like half the reason we're having that issue is because we're not having a comfortable way to talk back and forth.
Yeah.
So just something to think about when you're doing.
Seems
your podcast.
little, but it's not.
Well, I've gone so deep talking, nerding out about it. Like if I hear it on podcasts if I hear numbers, by the way, if I hear ratings, I try to write it down.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because you can't get those stats.
No,
anywhere.
you got to steal those numbers.
And then if they bring up the production room, I try to remember that like Pete Holmes's podcast, he wants it very intimate.
Mm-hmm.
He wants it he's a big guy in a small room, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going deep. It's comedy, sex, God is kind of his three things he's going to talk about. So in the way the format set up has something to do with that too. Like you don't know when you start recording kind of thing.
Yeah.
That I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just weaves naturally into it. But I think the actual room, video aside, trying to figure out that setting, production studio, I think it's really important to figure out how to make it as comfortable for anybody coming in.
Yep. Think about all the angles. You gotta think about talking into microphones. Think about the video. You're going to have to do it. If you want to have any sort of podcast, you got to just go with video. Trust us.
That's it.
What about my sweat equity?
Those are all the rules.
That's it.
That's all you need.
Sweat equity.
SweatEquityPod.com.
My sweat equity. My sweat equity.
And don't overtalk.
That's all you guys do good. Sweat equity. What about my sweat equity?